Alright, so welcome back to the third episode of the Talos Principle Editor. Um, in the last episodes I described the basis of the editor and then the databoard. And in this third episode we will start by making a basic good looking map for testing out, so a prototyping map. So let's start. This won't probably don't take so long. It depends on your skills because you're actually new. Um, so the first thing I will do is create a floor for our map. Because the floor we had in the last episode was just hooked up a patch of walls, and this was pretty ugly. So we're gonna create a better floor over here, and that's part of the mesh editor in the Talos Principle Editor. So to do this, firstly we're gonna create our green cube and set the color. Okay, it's all set to a 0. Very good. And I don't know why I have this graphics bugs. I don't had this when I not record. It should be working like you as your computer. So once you have this selected, you either can double click or hit E. So if you double click, you see we get into the mesh editor, getting some new options here. If you now think, oh no, I'm lost. No, you're not. You just go down here to world editor again, and then you are again in this green cube vision, the world vision. So hitting E will do the same. So you always need to know, don't build your maps into the mesh editor, because otherwise you have your whole map inside one asset, and it's even not possible because I think you cannot print insert here. Yep, you can't. So we start by making a floor. To make a floor, we see over here some new tabs popping up, and we just take create, and we can just take a box, but we will take a terrain because terrain is editable later on. So just click terrain, and you see get some new options here. So we got X and Z segments. The displace map, we don't just use this, and you can now simply drag this from a map. So I will do from this. Now I hold my mouse and go to here, and then I leave the mouse, and then you see I created a little plane here, which is actually perfectly fitting. I did not get this result as good in my own level. So yeah, that's the terrain. You see you have on the ground this polygon grid now. The segments you can manually change these, so you can now set this to 32 by 32, but please do symmetrical, otherwise you will give up because it's shitty. So not do like 32 by 18, because this is actually like, this is fairly not symmetric, and I hate not symmetric things, so I don't know why a human should do this. So then you see here those arrows, you can manually drag them. This is the box. This is the box handle. It doesn't matter where this top end is, but I like to drag this somewhere on the ground to not having the box sticking around. This also works for these arrows. So if you drag them over here, you see you can also extend it to side and even to the bottom of this one. But terrain, the bottom, it will fix to the bottom one. So there's no need to drag the box up or down, because the terrain will always stay on the lower level of the collision box, so it won't matter. Okay, we're particularly done here. Now you can add a texture to it, and that's what we will do. So you see here some options. The first thing under mesh over here is to set a tick inside enable collision mesh. Otherwise you will fall through your floor, and that's the option I figured out 2 hours after I created my first floor, and then I thought, what the fuck, why I am still falling through the fucking floor? And then I realized, okay, enable collision mesh is right. Okay, how to apply the texture on this? Go to layer, and under here we've got polygon maps and vertex maps. We go to the polygon map. over here you see this is default as till 1024. This is the shader. So yeah, if you're a bit into map and game developing, you know what a shader is. If not, this is basically the material. This is the visuals. You may say this is just a texture, but inside modern game engines and here too, it's just more than just a texture. So yeah, you click on here. You can basically browse for materials if you have some, man, if you have some materials. I just go to new and shader preset, and this opens up new options over here. You just ignore what it says over here. That's just bullshit. And then under configurations, this is an array. You see here the little array options, so it's like add an element, move an element down, move an element up, remove an element. You just click on add one element, and here we have the shader object. And the shader object is just a browsable object. And then you see this, obtain some shaders. These are shader presets, so for architecture, default, fat line, glitch, grass, highlight, and so on. It's just what you want to do. I recommend using always the standard one, because yeah, I don't need an architecture shader, because I always like to make it my own. But if you want to use a preset, you can from here. So I will take the standard shader, clicking OK, and then you've got a bunch new of options here. It's a freaking mess, and you've got some base color here. And what we will do is concentrate on the base texture. The base texture over here is yeah, just the texture we want to apply. So we click browse and go into the Talos Principle. That is now not the Talos Principle directory, because I imported an Portal 2 to it in here. So it should stand in here in this folder. You go to content in Talos. Then we go into the textures folder and just take some things out. So now I search for, let's take a good ground. Underground are good ground textures, like the name says. And remember my F3 tip, it works here too. So the F3 one works here too. So a little rule for using textures and a great tip from me: always look for the CM ones, not the CM bigs one, and not the HM or NM. The CM is the yeah, color map. I think this is what it named to. And you see, this is the texture as it looks like. If you take a look at the HM, this is the height map. So this will give the information to a shader that basically there is something like a visual height. So actually it's not it's just a plane, but it looks like it's high. So this is the height map, and the normal map does the infinite thing. It does always, yeah, rip lines inside your shader. So this yeah, this makes it like it looks like you have something ripped in. So, and the big ones are just yeah, big textures of this which are not compressed. Always take the not big ones. Okay, so now we can take on, this is dirt, dead grass. I don't like this. Earth, wall, forest floor, grass. This is a grassy one, and we've got a grassy one over here. I like this grassy one, so we take grassy one CM, hit open, and then you see nothing, because you need to set the base UV map. And under base UV map over here, you click on the arrow and see texture. You set this to texture. Now you should see something. You see, I don't. It's gray, because the rendering mode is always default. In here we don't set the rendering mode here, because that's actually the right render mode. We need to go here and over here where it says smooth shaded, and set this to shader. And now you see we're having the texture. Great. You can always turn off this wire mesh if you go here to the thing and disable wire. It's a bit better for texturing. And you see the texture is now mapped frontally on the plane. The problem is it's probably too big. I will show you this. So I think we're done here. So we're just going back to the world editor, and then we have the object in the world, and we can hit play, and we are on our self-made floor. So as you see, it's kinda ugly because the texture is really big and it does not look really realistic if we have leaves which are so big like our feet. So we need to scale the texture a bit down. We go again into the mesh editor for this. Yeah, okay, I did not select the model, that's the fault. Go back into the mesh editor, open up the polygon map, and you have the base stretch U and V. UV is just the X and the Y axis. I don't know where the U stands for. It's just horizontally and vertically. So yeah, putting this down, putting this value down means a bigger texture. So if I type this to 0.1, it's just become bigger. And yeah, remember, always take the same values, otherwise you will have a pretty ugly stretched image. And putting these values up like 2 makes the whole texture bigger. And I think this I made good things when 2.5 is actually a good measurement. Can always go back into the world editor, start playing, and say, yeah, I think this is a great scale for having this. Okay, so we go into saving. You need to save your model. We go into the model mesh editor again. You need to save this mesh because otherwise you basically get it lost. So first we save this shader. So we made differences to the shader here. So we go to the root, to the default here, which is the root of this shader, and it says local. All what says local is not currently saved in an own file and is just saved temporarily. So you click on it and hit Save As, and then it requires a path. So if you're making large maps, I always recommend to give it a whole own folder. I will do this. So we go into Content, Talos, and then mostly under Levels you create a new folder. Yeah, so that was obviously not a good idea. Now I can navigate again. Clicking the wrong button is always a great idea. So I recommend putting your level related stuff into the levels folder, then right click, hit actually not right click, clicking this here, I need to search, creating new directory, and then it takes a value like a name, so we name this tutorial level, having the new folder created. And now it's empty, and now we can save this into here. So I name the file ground shader and hit save. And now you see it's saved. It says content tailors levels tutorial level ground shader empty are saved successfully, and we have now saved it in here. So this is not affected if we stop the editor. Now the mesh is not saved. The mesh is always not saved. So how do we save the mesh? Pretty easy thing. Don't in the mesh editor, in the world editor. If we have this open under entity, you see this has the same properties like a simple model property because it's actually a simple model property. So you see here the model is local. So we're gonna save this model as, go into our self-created folder, which is called tutorial level. No, not test level, tutorial level, and then we save this under ground. Obviously, if you do big things, you could basically do something like ordering this, so having one folder called meshes, there the meshes go, having one folder called materials, there the materials go, but that's not necessary. Okay, so the whole thing is now saved. Now we need to save the world, because in the title it says unnamed 1, and if we close on the editor, he says it's not saved. So right click, go to file, hit save as, and we also save this. We go into a tutorial folder and type in tutorial level. And now we have saved it as a WLD file, which is the world file. And now we can start or move on with worlds. So, as I already said, you can use the things from the data board, but I prefer to use this on my own now. So that was TeamSpeak again. I just quickly go outside.
Channel switched.
Probably spamming a lot on here, so I'm sorry about that, but I always forgot to disable this. Yeah. Okay, so now we just hit insert again, have our green box, we go to tools. You can easily access the tools tab by pressing Q, and then we always... I don't know why I have this strange rendering bugs, it's really awkward, I think. Yeah, I don't know. We take this model, go onto the properties, go under the model, and we're now taking a model from a wall. So the walls are always saved in where's that folder called Tile Presets, over here. And then the environment you want to use. So we have Egypt, Medieval, Nexus, Rome, Stone, Wood, and Generic. And Generic are those prototyping models I used in the databoard. Maybe this, you see with this grid on it. So I think I really like those Rome ones. So we're gonna take some of Rome's. See, yeah, the text is not reloading really great in this F3 preview. And they named like wall and then 4x4 for example, and then this is 4x4 at size. So 2x3 is 2, 3 high, and if you take 3x2, this is actually 3 wide and 2 high. So yeah, just take this model for example, you see this is great, but if you play you see, oh yeah, I stand it inside, it's actually a bit not high, so we take a 3 high, and I take yeah, 3x3, you see this is then the higher version of this, and we can 3x4, this is always a bit higher, and we have 4x3, which is actually a really good one. And there are also some other variations like Nichi, which has this, yeah, little Nichi inside there, and there's also Nichi C and Nichi D. So let's take this without the Nichi, and then you can easily use the handles I showed you to drag this around, and we drag this probably here in the edge. Yeah. So architecture from the Talos Principle and the levels is that you put pillars between walls. So the pillars are basically just wall 0, 5, and then we have 4 high. So we take 4.25 high pillar. And then the architecture is like this, that you move this a bit inside, having this pillar in the edge, and then you can drag this a bit out. But I recommend that we, yeah, see this is great, but I recommend, oh wait, did I saw some, yeah, it's not perfectly on the ground as you see, so we drag this a bit down, problem solved. And I think we will do this just, yeah, I forgot that we only have 3, so we just take the 3.25. And this looks awesome. And now we select this by holding Shift and selecting both, Control C and Control V. And then we can just move this on here and put this into the right order. And then we are basically have just copy pasted it. So now we can change this model to have the Nichi inside, because I really like the Nichi. So let's take the Nichi. And yeah, copying, pasting the pillar again. So you see my workflow it's a bit fast, so if it's too fast, that's the good thing about YouTube, you can pause me and do it on your own, but I think this copy and pasting should not be really hard for you to do. It's just basic thing. And then you can copy and paste this over here again, dragging this onto here, and you see now I made something not symmetrical. Yeah, I hate this. So yeah, if 2 objects are inside, you see this gives this ugly graphics bug, so you can fix this by just taking a wall which is a bit smaller, so we have 4 by 3, so we take 3 by 3, and you see now the wall is perfectly fitting over here. Can even see, I see some variations not, so this is like an L, this is also like an L. Then we just go to tools and we rotate it on this axis around the correct, so here minus 180, and then you see it's rotated and then the variations are there, so it's yeah, better. So after we created one wall complex, we can just copy those objects, hit Ctrl C, hit Ctrl V, trying to paste this in the middle, and then another useful thing, pressing Tab will rotate all things which you selected around 90 degrees. This is so useful. I really started to like that because it's so useful to not drag this with the handles and to not set into the tools panels to 90 degrees. So just hit Tab and it rotates automatically to 90 degrees. I'm really into this feature because it's really nice. Okay, so move this nice over here, and then we can just select this thing. So I'm just making little box level. If you're making complicated levels, you probably make something else. So now I paste this into the middle, and yeah, that with the middle did not work out. But yeah, you see, pressing Tab again, I rotated around 90 degrees, and now I can perfectly move this into the edge over here, like this. And I accidentally copied the last pillar with, and yeah, now we just take this wall and move it one back, so it's looking better. And yeah, let's just remove the niche over here, because then we also have some kind of pattern. So we remove the niche over here and over here. Okay, hitting Ctrl S to save is always a good idea. And you see over here, please run the generate new asset UID tool to resolve this issue. You probably do this. So just hit Ctrl Alt U. This gives this error message, but you just hit yes. And then it got a new unique asset ID and the error is gone. So pressing T, we are in our level, and I really think this looks great. Yeah, maybe, yeah, it's the basic Talos Principle style we have here. And now I need to take a look at my agenda, what it says here. Yeah, first world create we did, the floor we did, simple start to geometry we did too. So I think we're done here. We created a first little room over here. In the next tutorials I will show you how to add a sky, because having a gray sky is always not that cool. And I will show you how to yeah, add things, and going deeper into the entity parameters, how to use the entities and how to make them useful. And we start by dragging one plasma wall inside somewhere here. So we see us in the next tutorial. Bye.